Welcome everyone to a presentation about a project called Climate for All. Huh? All right, so Climate for All is a project that will be presented by moi. My name is Antonis. I'm originally from Greece. I live now in Poland, actually thanks to LARPing. Since we're in Knutpunkt, we should know that. I've been a climate activist pretty much my entire adult life and a bit more. I'm currently a co-founder of a social enterprise called Gamification Global that tries to use gamification and games for achieving social and environmental impact. I'm also working for a non-profit organization called All for Climate that does what is called fiscal hosting, which is essentially providing a legal and fiscal back end for activists to focus on activism rather than paperwork. And I'm also a European Climate Pact ambassador. I'm leading the city group of Krakow in a network for climate action doers called Forward. And I also have about 2 decades of experience in non-formal education in the youth sector. So all that's to say, I've had many different opportunities to put my climate activism in different kinds of perspectives and different kinds of vehicles, hoping to achieve more and more impact. In the last few years, I've seen the power of games to be the most promising because it helps people to come to action much more easily and much more fluidly, let's say. So what on earth is Climate for All? Like every proper presentation, we should begin with a problem, right? So the problem here is manifold. It starts with the most obvious part and the most terrifying of all, climate change. Raise your hand if you're worried about climate change. Unanimous, let the camera know that all the audience raise their hands. So yeah, climate change has been in our books, screens, newspapers, and everything for more than a century. I was looking for the right images to put in this presentation. You can see some that are more than a century old. But for at least 70 years or so, we know very clearly what climate change is and what it causes and what it is caused by, and we even have some guidelines, at least from the perspective of science, of what we should do to avoid it. And yet, too little, too less, too late is happening. So that leads to a problem that has a lot of different other problems coming from it, with a lot of urgency, yet very little happening. So how do you deal with that? Well, before we go into solutions, let's see what other aspects this problem has. Youth. Like I mentioned, I've been working in international youth work for about 20 years now. So I saw that as a vehicle for climate change as well as for human rights and for different ways to achieve a positive impact. And what I saw there is that, let's put it in a different way than I intended. Historically, we have the most well-educated youth than ever before as far as human civilization is concerned. Yet when it comes to giving voice to young people, to have an impact on the situations that will impact their entire lives, there's not much happening. I've done a lot of youth work, so I can tell from firsthand how my disappointment from not having stuff happening for climate change also permeates my involvement with youth, and how youth is suffering and knows what to do because they're well educated, but they're not given the ground to actually do stuff about their own lives and the rest of our lives. Then, as if that's not enough, we live in Europe, the majority of the people here, so that means that we have a lot of grants, a lot of institutional ways that can support work that is meaningful for climate, for youth, for a lot of other things. So the way this usually works is, at least in the non-profit sector, where I have most of my experience, you get money to implement a project, you get some outcomes that are magnificent, you get wonderful reports, books, physical interventions, games for that matter, and the way they usually work is the money runs out, you don't have another way to support your living expenses, you have to apply for a new grant, and that means you jump to a new project, and that means whatever valuable thing was produced in the previous project gets put in a shelf and forgotten. So How on earth do you deal with such a wicked problem that consists of the massive weight of climate change, with youth not being involved enough and not feeling empowered to act, and many viable projects just put on the shelf and forgotten? Our answer is play games. I'm speaking to an audience that is not as surprised as usual when I give this presentation, because it may seem counterintuitive. Oh, look, the planet is burning. What can we do? Let's just play games while it's going away. There is method to this madness, though. So before I answer why games can provide solutions, I want to go through the results of this project. I will go through them very quickly, and then I will explain the methodology, and then I will also get deeper into games because, this is Knutpunkt. We need to talk about games. So very quickly, we have 6 games. We have a cooperative board game that is dealing with climate catastrophes with different solutions. We have a competitive card game in which you play evil CEOs trying to out-greenwash each other. We have a LARP called It's Election Day. It's all about political agency. We have Echoes of Gaia, a collaborative storytelling game. And we have Spirit Path, which is a LARP that is a little bit more creative around climate change. And the 6th game is the Elephant in the Room, a debate game unlike any other. So we have 6 games, and those 6 games are all based on building competences. There is a set of competences, that is skills, attitudes, and knowledge that, according to the European Commission, are essential for a future where climate change is a thing, for getting there, for living in that future, and for making a difference. Our games are all based on that. So we also have a workshop format that helps you realize what kind of competencies you developed by playing a game, and that leads to climate action, and that is Climate for All. That's a very nice process, I would say. But before going into how this works in practice, let's go deeper into the games, because we're here for games, right? So, before going to the games, I should explain the background of the games. I mentioned that there is this framework talking about competencies. This is the framework right behind me. It's called Green Comp, and it's the European framework on competencies for sustainability. There are 4 categories with 3 competencies each that, if you pay a little bit of attention and let's say you have experience in youth work, you can see that all these are what we call soft skills or transversal skills. That means skills that you can implement in one area and that you can transfer to another field of work. So these are skills that are essential. If you're playing games, you may also recognize things that you know from experience. If you play games, you tackle those, right? You practice those. We had this hunch that this is what happens through games, and we focused our entire process on building games on that. So, games we did build. Echoes of Gaia, which will pass right in front of you right now, if Manu wakes up. Echoes of Gaia is a... Please stand up and show to the audience. Yeah. So Echoes of Gaia is a collaborative storytelling game. Imagine that the setting is the Earth has been destroyed by climate change. There are barely any humans left. And in this game, you're playing spirits, almighty spirits that are connected to Mother Earth, and you're collaboratively telling stories. There are event cards, there are filling cards. You connect them all together and build stories. And in the end, you decide what happens to the very last remaining survivor humans. This is a very nice game to run with young people. We played it with secondary school students, and they absolutely loved it. Then we have The Elephant in the Room, a debate game that focuses on gaining different perspectives around climate change. Usually debate games are focusing on putting 2 players, pit them against one another, trying to outperform on who is better at debating. This game has a different purpose. This game allows you to see things from a different perspective. And the more perspectives you can tackle in this game, the better you become at the game. Then we also have Greenwash. Greenwash is a competitive card game. In this game, the players are playing evil CEOs of companies. that are having industry, that are having greenwash practices, and they're trying to essentially betray each other by telling them, oh, look, this player is greenwashing. No, this player is greenwashing. No, I'm not greenwashing. So it's all about learning about greenwashing by practicing it in a very humorous and competitive manner. Very cool game. I should say that we very recently played this with business people. They loved it. Right. The next one is Spirit Path. It's one of the two LARPs in this project. In this game, there is a setting where the Earth has lost its colors because of climate change, and you're playing people that are somehow connected, sort of magically, with spirits, different spirits on planet Earth, and you solve some kind of riddles that have to do with resource management, and you decide how to give Earth back its color. It's a very creative game. We just played it before coming here. People like it. It creates nice feelings. Then we have Solar Punks. Solar Punks is a cooperative board game. So you have a map, and you have natural catastrophes appearing in every round, the only solutions to which are different solution cards that stem from the Solar Punks movement and the wisdom of indigenous communities. So this is a very, very nice game about cooperation and about futures literacy. Finally, we have It's Election Day. It's Election Day is the second LARP of our project, a very, very powerful LARP that's all about political agency. In this project, the players build a fictional country before the game, and throughout the game, they play politicians, journalists, regular citizens, and they're bombarded with information and misinformation, and they go through an electoral process. So by the end of the game, they elect leaders after going through very, very vigorous role-playing. Wonderful game for universities. It always has an impact, and it's magnificent to organize. All 6 games are built with the aim of tackling real competencies. So they're not designed first, and then we realize what competencies they can build. They are built from the get-go with competencies in mind. And of course, different target groups, different durations, different settings. So the games are accompanied by a workshop format. You can see here the cover of the specific booklet we have for the workshop format that we developed, in which, in short, you play a game, you reflect on what competencies you developed, you align those competencies with the GreenCom framework, then you think of different types of communities you can influence, you think of your circle of influence, then you put the 2 ingredients together, competencies and groups that you can influence, to come up with climate actions that you can take. And just like that, you come up with actions that stem from in-game tackling different competencies to put them to practice out of the game. We have a method to prioritize them, and then we finish the workshop by marking your calendar with the first action that you will take for climate change after playing the game. And yeah, this brilliant format works with any game, not just our games, but of course a lot better with our games. So, where is the project right now? Well, in Knutpunkt, where this presentation is happening, but also outside of this, what have we done so far? We have released our 6 original games. You can find all of them for free on our website. The print and play format that we've developed for each game, you can download for free on our website. All our games are released using open licenses, which makes it easy to share, spread the word, and play. We did research. Like I mentioned, all the games are based on tackling specific competencies. So the first thing we did before building the games was research. We analyzed 115 different games. 115 different games themed around sustainability. We wanted to find out, do games tackle competencies based on this framework? Let's align them. Our initial purpose was, let's see where there's a gap. What competencies are tackled by existing games, what competencies are not tackled by existing games. Let's see what we can find. What we found was, probably should not be a surprise to anyone, in this audience at least, is that games are amazing at building competencies. Because all of the competencies, all the 12 competencies were tackled by existing games. So our original purpose, which was let's find a gap, was not really met. But we did find that competencies are not tackled explicitly. You know in your heart that if you play a game, it develops you as a person. You build skills, you gain knowledge, you change your attitude. But this is not explicit. So we developed our workshop format to make the implicit explicit. We have been awarded, the European Commission has awarded the project in 2024 as one of the most inspiring green education initiatives. We beta tested our workshop with the first set of facilitators who gave feedback, and then we transformed that feedback into an online version of our workshop format, which is also available for free on our website. So everybody in the world can become a facilitator using our methodology and download our games for free and implement workshops all around the world. Finally, one unexpected outcome is that during our research process, we also collaborated with an organization working for, by, from, and to people with disabilities to see how we can make our games more inclusive before we started building them. This inspired us so much that we actually added one extra goal to our project. So all our games are also designed in a way that are compatible with a couple of different forms of disability. And we have an online community that you can all join. We build that to work globally. So from there, where do we go? The project Climate for All is co-financed by the European Union, by the Erasmus Plus program, and is a collaboration of 5 different organizations, All for Climate in Belgium, the Nozeka Foundation in Poland, Zavoderea in Slovenia, the International Youth Work Trainers Guild in Germany, and Selke Foundation in the Netherlands. So 5 NGOs from all over Europe collaborating together, developing games and making a difference in the world. But what's the future? The future is up to you. Because our aim for releasing our games for free, for making our workshop format and the training around it for free, and all that making accessible, is to make it easy for everybody in the world to follow our method and really lead to climate action after playing games. So you are very, very welcome to join our global community. And you can do that by going to our website and joining our community. And you will find a dedicated space there for Knutpunkt. So we can have discussions that are relevant to this presentation, to what you experienced in here, and everything you can imagine that can connect people around the world for climate. Play the change you wish to see in the world. And with that, there is time for questions, which you are welcome to ask.
Sometimes in Sweden there are discussions about when you have this questionnaire with like facilitated questions after games. Some people find it annoying, or like they do not want to take action because of that. That's something that you have considered or learned something about, yeah? Do you want to elaborate on that a bit?
Yeah, absolutely. That's why we follow a different method. Instead of having a lecture and then testing the participants or whether they learned something, we follow the completely different route. We start with games because that makes it tangible. Games have several advantages. One advantage is that in order to create a game, especially if it's a LARP, right, you create a world, a compact, minuscule representation of the world. That means you need to simplify something complex to make it playable in a short amount of time. That's especially used for something as complex as climate change. So one thing that games do is when you play them, you understand something complex much more easily. It's tangible. Then the other thing is that you move things on a board, or you embody characters, or you draw one thing there, you write to another thing there. It leads to direct action in-game that is easy, it's feasible, you can just do it. That creates the motivation to keep doing things. So if you want to gain skills for sustainability, if you want to gain knowledge, that's another thing. But if you want to gain skills that are relevant to sustainability, a game is the best way because it's a very easy entry point in a way that creates a motivation to take the next action. And then what you follow it up with our workshop is not we ask people questions in a way that tests them. We just ask them what they learned. And then we try to match it with the existing environment. So combine the skills you learned inside the game with the community you have outside of the game that already is there and create actions that are really feasible. We make it easy. We show that climate action is not something that has to be, insanely difficult in order to achieve something. It has to be tangible. And with our games and our workshop format, that's exactly what we're focusing. The microphone so the recording.
Thank you for the presentation. You talked about collaborating with German organization. As I'm German and school children are not already capable of comprehensive English, is there a German translation? Is there a possibility to translate your files?
Yeah, we didn't manage to include inside our project the translation process, but we made our games in a way that makes it easy to also translate. And we already seen people who volunteer to translate them in their own language. So yeah, we make the process easy, but we need to follow up on that. Obviously, yes, we want to them translated in German. We already have some translations in Greek, some translations in Ukrainian that are completely voluntary. So yes, let's follow up on that. For the recording, sorry.
So where are you in your stage now of like you've made these games and the challenge now is to get them adopted, and like the games have different audiences obviously, but is the goal get them into schools? I assume that's a challenge based upon like existing curriculum in different nations, but this is your challenge now, right? Like you're showing them, but you need to get them adopted in scale, right?
That's exactly where we are. So as far as Erasmus Plus is concerned, this is a 3-year-long project. In the first year, we did the research. The second year, we built the games. The third year, which is now, we spread the word and try to make it as popular as possible. More people registering, more people using it in their own context. What we found, since you mentioned schools, what we found works best with schools is find a teacher that is open-minded, and then you find a way to get them into schools.
Yeah, it's I can speak to like obviously the European situation is different than the United States. Generally, there's been much more freedom for private schools in the United States. For teachers have a lot of discretion in terms of how they use their time compared to public schools, which have their entire year set and also determined by a very elaborate process that makes anything like this making its way into the curriculum probably impossible, or at least years and years and years to do so. So I just you have my sympathies. This is a tough ask, and it's a problem. And so we're probably at the stage of like, how do we bypass the normal methods in order to get this in front of kids?
Yeah, I think from our experience, it has been slightly more challenging to get them into secondary schools than it was for universities. For example, a few months ago, we got in touch with a professor from the University of Leuven in Belgium, and the professor got so excited that they immediately, within like 2 weeks or something, they invited us to run its election day, which is the most demanding from number of participants and time, which is the one we thought, oh yeah, this is the most difficult to promote. This is the easiest one to organize in universities if you have a willing professor. So we did it. The students absolutely loved it. And as long as you find the right way to get in, it has an impact. Over there.
Thank you very much for the presentation, first of all. And the games seem to be very fun and cool. And we are researchers. We do climate change as well and health. And we're just wondering if you have tested if the goals or the that you had for the games were successful by the end. If you tested somehow.
Could you rephrase the question? It's also the distance I cannot hear you well.
Yeah. If you have tested if the goals that you had for the games, they were successful in the end?
Oh. So, there are two aspects to answer this. Is one, whether the goals are successful for the games, which we tested, and, with self-assessment at least, they work. There's another aspect, whether in the long term, the climate actions that people committed to actually took place. That we don't really have a way to check. We see the motivation in the people playing the games when they're, coming up and see how feasible it is. All right, I just have to take this little step. I'm gonna do it. We don't know if they actually did it. But yeah, planning is doing halfway through, right?
Thank you.
There is a.
For me specifically, and this is not like an official survey we took or anything, but people I run Greenwash with still occasionally send me photographs of stuff they noticed around that is greenwashed. Because it's really fun and rewarding to be not the cub, but the person who's like, this is wrong. Does nobody else see it's wrong? I do. So this kind of noticing and kind of telling everybody about it, at least for Greenwash, it works really well.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I was wondering about the themes of the game, because you have like 6 independent games targeting different cohorts and also like targeting different issues of climate change. It's like all different themes and topics and target groups. So maybe like how did you come up with the focal groups, and why did you choose like the different cohorts as you did, and also the different topics? How did you, for example, identify that the LARP is more adequate for this format, for example, or for this age group than is the card game or the collaborative storytelling game for children and so on? So maybe you can speak a little bit on that.
So before developing the games, we had a workshop in which we went through the GreenComp framework, and we had different exercises for going through them so you can experience them in order to understand what they mean in practice. Oh yeah, who's we? The consortium of the 5 organizations that comprise the project. So yeah, we had a meeting where all the representatives of the partner organizations met in person. We went through different types of workshops to analyze the framework. Then we did the creative brainstorming where we came up with way more ideas than just 6, let me tell you that. And then the people who aligned on specific ideas were the ones who developed them further. We had this challenge that resulted from the process that cross-organization partnerships were formed for most of the games. So people living in different countries had to develop one game together. That was a bit challenging. But our aim was to ensure that the development goes based on interest, on passion, and of course alignment with a specific competence. So yeah, we did different exercises. We tried to divide the development of the games according to having a balance, tackling different types of competences, and also ensuring that we have a variety of target groups and types of games. So yeah, it was an internal process that we did like creatively within the partner organizations. We tried to find the right balance. We believe we kind of made it. I hope that answers the question.
Also, one very specific goal of this project is that it's not finished. It's actually open to new ideas, new games. So and this is actually an invitation to anybody, if you have games in mind that are aligning with the goals and can be adapted to the specific methodology that we used, so basically the Green Comp methodology, and that they fit into the workshop format, which most of them do because the workshop has been designed that way. You please feel free to contact us so we can create a cooperation for the future, because this is also, we've set up a structure, as Antoni said previously, and this structure can only continue to exist if other people put their ideas, use it. And also maybe to answer your previous question as well, if we've tested the games, and how do we follow up on that? Well, this is specifically why the workshop format has been developed and why we are offering the possibility to become a facilitator. Because we, as the consortium of members, it's very hard for us to follow up every specific game and its impact. But we've made this project because we believe that the games can help to make the change in the world. And the change can only be made if multiple people cooperate. So we've never set it up that we will be the only ones monitoring its impact, but rather that facilitators within their own communities can have that possibility.
We actually have 4 new games in the pipeline that are developed independently outside of the project, because the project only had the capacity internally for 6. But there are new, from different grant applications to independent processes to just passion projects. We have more, not only stemming from us, but also other people that just, we had one participant in the training for facilitators who immediately got inspired. After the project, he emails me and says, hey, I have this idea for a new game. Can I make it happen? Yes, please. And yeah, he's working on it for the past year. It's a completely independently developed game.
And these games have actually been, the project has been developed under Erasmus+. So definitely the idea was also to create further projects that could exist from and under Erasmus+. So this is, again, an invitation to anybody. This is also a way to get funding to make a change.
Perhaps I should answer the question on how the project tackles each of the 3 aspects. So one is climate change. We focus on specific competencies that are relevant to climate. So the Green Comp framework is the answers to how we tackle climate change. We don't claim that we solve climate change with games, but we empower people to make it so. Then youth. We designed the program that develops those competencies in youth specifically. We design games that are mostly appropriate for youth. And we have a workshop format that works specifically in the concept of youth work. And then how do the other projects not get buried? We analyzed 115 games before going into our project. And then we tested our workshop format with other games from other projects, published them on our website as well so that people know there are other projects as well that have viable outcomes and they work. And how our project does not also get put into the shelf. That's why we created the community. That's why we created the workshop that is open for everybody in the world to continue the work out of it. And that's why we even have a financial model that can help finance the project in the future after the Erasmus Plus grant is over. So yeah, there was a lot of visionary work put into this project that we hope will prove itself right in the long term. That depends on the people. So that's why we're doing presentations like this. Brussels. Yeah. So let me go back to this. So we have an online community that is open for everybody to join. That we'll get eventually to the last slide. Hopefully you all scanned and joined this. Over here, we will also publish the closing conference that we have on the 26th of June in Brussels. We will have a conference at the Committee of the Region where we will present the results, and we'll have a nice panel with policy is it the representatives of policy institutions and all that. And we'll also have some exercises with our games. Celebration. You're all welcome to join us on the 16th of June in Brussels. You will find information on our community. What they say? Yeah, it's not 16th. It's 26th of June. How did I forget the day after my birthday? Right. Any other questions that we could answer? What is the first step that you will take after this presentation? Maybe we can hear some ideas from the audience.
I'm working at, I don't know what it's called in English, but it's like a hub for going out in nature.
Right.
And there's a lot of them in Sweden. Maybe there's something similar in different countries, I don't know. So I will talk to my boss there and see if she's interested in taking these games into our shelves there so people can look at them.
Yeah, I recently got in touch with a professor in Krakow, one of the biggest universities in the country. He does a lot of outdoors activities with his students. And he asked me a crucial question. Hey, can this game be played outside? And I was like, yes, they can. So let's try this together. Any other inspiration that we can share with the audience that will be watching this video?
Yeah, I love that it's all online. I'm brainstorming ways I can try and get some people to get together in a room and play these games. Some kids together in a room and play some games, and maybe just bring them to my subbing gigs and force the kids to play them, despite the teachers' sub plans. That's one idea.
Awesome. And our time is up. You're welcome to keep in touch. Let's take this further. Let's play the change we wish to see in the world.